Greetings and welcome to my channel. My name is Leslie and I'm going to talk about what it's like to live with high functioning bipolar and other stuff like generalized anxiety, agoraphobia, perfectionism, the list goes on. Anyway, so I'm super anxious. This is only the second time I've recorded myself. And yeah, trying not to let the anxiety get the best of me. I had a very rough day at work today, and I honestly don't even know where to begin. So I have bipolar 2. I'm 32 years old, and I was diagnosed at 19 with bipolar. I started dealing with depression when I was probably about 14, 15 years old. And yeah, it's just gone from there. I was in college when I was diagnosed with bipolar. I was also diagnosed with agoraphobia, generalized anxiety. I have like little idiosyncrasies like the perfectionism, which I've been working on a lot. OCD tendencies. I'm not like obsessive. I have to wash my hands like 75 times a day, you know. I have to touch something so many times before I'm okay with it. It's less of that and more of the it doesn't look perfect. It's not right. It has to be this way. Everything has its place and it needs to go back in its place. And if it doesn't, it gives me anxiety. So there's that. Oh gosh, what else is there? I have a lot of anxiety. And I'm sure some other things will come up as I'm talking, but moving on. So dealt with this for a while. And I've been struggling a lot lately. With the quarantine, it has impacted me less at home. Well, I guess in a way, my family is home all the time, but I still have to go to work. I am a department manager at McDonald's, and it is hard. It is a really rough job. That's not even enough to sum it up, but I will definitely get into that later. That's a huge aspect of my life and where a lot of my stress comes from. So I didn't write a script because I'm like, I don't even know what I should talk about. Where do I begin? So I decided not to do one, thinking, oh, I'll just go with the flow. Like, my brain's really always random, and it's hard to stay focused. Oh, that's another one. See, anyway. Right. So ADHD is something that I also struggle with. It's very hard for me to focus on things. And the past 2 years, I have not been on medication for any of my issues. And that has been really rough. And I recently just got on a new medication. I finally got back into the doctor after dealing with a bunch of BS over insurance companies and moving jobs and gaps in insurance. I still don't have insurance. So when I went to the psychiatrist, that's coming out of my pocket, and the medication came out of my pocket. And the question is, oh, doesn't your work provide insurance? Well, yeah, everybody has to provide insurance, but that doesn't make it great. And my goal actually is to get on Medicaid. I'm eventually trying to do that. Hard to do things and get important things done without somebody basically holding my hand or being there to help me. That stems from the anxiety, and some things don't really make sense. But in this situation, insurance has always caused me anxiety. So anyway, I'm back on medication. I've only been taking it for about a week, and I'm really not sure how I feel, I guess. I'm up and down, but I've always been up and down, constantly. One day I'll be in a great mood, and the next day, I may be in a shitty mood, and not even like, oh man, I'm having a bad day, but like, oh, this is the worst day of my entire life, and I wish that the world would explode, or maybe the sun could implode. Something to just end the misery. It gets dark, but more on that later. I guess this is more of an introduction of who I am and what everything that I'm going to be talking about is. All right, so a little bit more about me. I have a daughter, and I have a partner. He lives with me, and he loves me, and I love him. We've been together for 3 years. We are not married. Neither of us have an interest in marriage. I pause. Okay, so a little bit more about myself. I have a daughter. She's going to be 11 this month actually. And I also have a partner. I call him my husband, but we're not married. It's easier than telling everybody, oh yeah, my life partner. I have a life partner. So that's my family dynamic. He works full-time in a factory. He is not at work right now, though thankfully they are still paying him for 40 hours a week, which I'm so grateful for, because our apartment is super expensive, but it's really, really nice, and it's totally worth it. I love being home, and that could be a bad thing because I am very much an introvert, especially off medication. When I'm on medication, I'm more of an ambivert. So yeah, he works full-time when he is working, and I work full-time as a manager at McDonald's, which a new job would be amazing. But anyway, my daughter's super, super smart. I got really lucky with, the aspect, because getting her to do homework is difficult. But as I'm rambling. Mostly because I don't know where to go with this. So, my family dynamic, I have an older sister. She is amazing. I haven't seen her in forever. We got to video chat the other day, and it felt great. Both of my parents, they live pretty close to me, and they are still married, and they're also amazing. I have no idea how they have put up with all of my crap. In retrospect, when I look back at everything in my life, I don't think people realize just how crazy I am. But anyway, I don't know why I just laughed there. So, for the first time, I feel like my mind is blank. Normally, my mind is racing a million miles an hour, and it still kind of is. I think more it's just I'm nervous, because I have a hard time opening up and sharing who I am, and it's hard to put things into words, how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what have I been through. But deep down inside, I really just, I want people to understand what it's like. There is still a lot of negative stigmatism, if that's the word, stigma, towards mental health. And I work hard. I'm smart. I'm competent most of the time. There are times where I'm like, what? I have no idea what's going on. You know, I do struggle with that, you know, when I'm not feeling well emotionally, or I'm super anxious or stressed. Like, my brain just doesn't function fast enough to keep up with everything that's going on. And that can be really hard when you work at McDonald's. But that was going somewhere. I am 100% confident that was going somewhere. I just don't know, because I forgot where I started and where I was going. Backtrack. I don't even know. I really just cannot remember. But honestly, that is kind of just how it is. So I think that's the basics covered. Maybe I will find a quicker way to do that for each video. So moving on, I guess I really just want to talk about my day. And it was shitty. This new medication change has been really hard for me. I don't know if, like, I felt really, really good today when I went into work. I had to work at 4 this morning, had to open the store, and I got like 7.5 hours of sleep, which was great compared to the 2.5 hours I got the 2 nights before. Like, I got 2.5 hours of sleep each night, and I really, really need to be getting a good 8 hours of sleep to ensure that my mental state will be at least semi-stable. So the past few days have been pretty rough for me, and today I felt great. But the happiness that I felt today, I feel, was more of a manic upswing. The caffeine I had, I knew I shouldn't have drank that ice mocha with an extra shot of espresso. But when I'm feeling giggly and happy and giddy, and, you know, I want to be talkative at work and just share every single little strange detail that probably shouldn't be talked about, I lack self-control. Just in general, anyway. But in those times, very much so. So, yeah, I was having a really good morning, probably too good. But that came crashing down really fast. And normally I can adapt to change fairly well. And as a manager, that's really important. But today was not one of those days. So when my boss approached me with a situation that needed to be taken care of right away, basically our second lane wasn't open and it needed to be open at 7. I had planned on grabbing something to eat and stepping outside to get a little bit of nicotine at that time. You know, perfect time. But I guess not. So I think, and that seems so silly. That's so silly that I would get upset that I can't take 10, 15 minutes to myself. Because getting a break really wasn't an option. And I was okay with not getting a break. I just really wanted to step away for a good 15, 20 minutes, collect myself. And I didn't get that. And it made me mad. And I was able to start sending people on break at 8 o'clock, and you'd think the first thing I would do is send myself on break. Get some time, get a breather, get something to eat. But I have this problem where it's all or nothing. Whenever I get into, like, when I'm angry, there is no, okay, I'm irritated, but let's move on with this and try and deal with the situation. It's, okay, well, I guess fuck me. I'm screwed. My needs don't matter, which it gets into this darkness, and, you know, I think it's so hard to say the things that go through my head when I get angry over like those little things like that, and it's just an instant switch. A switch flip. The typical, what people think, the flip flop of the bipolar. You go from I'm happy to, oh, now I'm super angry or depressed, and that's what it was. And I tend to get the reason I'm struggling is because I don't know the word. I get like I beat up on myself. I know there's a word for that. Self-abusive, I guess. I'm emotionally self-abusive, and I tell myself, well, obviously, what I want or what I need doesn't matter. I get angry because, in that situation, well, my boss didn't consider what I was thinking, what my plan was, because I had a plan. I had a really good plan. And that pretty much got blew out the water. Like, I had planned on opening lane 2, but when I was ready at 7:30. and I understand from his perspective. His bosses want that lane open. It needs to be open. And I 100% get that. But, so, that, and then I found out a bunch of new people were coming in and needed to be trained, but they weren't on my schedule. I had no idea when they were coming in. I had no idea who it was, so I didn't know what they knew or what they didn't know. And of course, when they finally did come in, we're busy. I'm frustrated and overwhelmed and stressed, and now I have to figure out where to put 2 people. And it just added on to it. It exacerbated the frustration and the anxiety and the feeling of being overwhelmed. Like, I don't have control. And when I don't feel like I have control, that's when my anxiety gets so much worse, to the point that I can't even handle it. And normally I can handle a lot of anxiety. I mean, I've been doing it for 2 years. I have a lot of coping mechanisms. Breathing deep in through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth. And that helps a lot of times. And I listen to music. I'm not supposed to, but I have my phone in my pocket and I'm playing music just loud enough for me to hear. And it helps calm me and keep me kind of like a little bit more steady. But there are times when those coping mechanisms don't work. And I'm not gonna lie, I went into our freezer and screamed twice. Like, deep breath, full out, scream at the top of my lungs, just to get the frustration and anger and irritability and stress out of my system, and it did not help. I also took some anxiety medication, but what they prescribed me isn't helping at all. So I have to talk about that to them. And in the end, despite how much I tried, I ended up having what they call a psychogenic non-epileptic seizure. And basically, to sum it up, it is a panic attack or anxiety attack, but I react differently. It's not like a lot of people, you see people, they get quiet and they're hyperventilating, or I don't even know what other panic attacks are like, because I only know what mine are like. It used to be that I would like almost convulse, twitch. I couldn't control my arms or my legs, or put any of my body really. And so they thought I had epilepsy. Come to find out, I don't. Thank goodness. but it's basically looks like a seizure, but it's my body's reaction to the anxiety. My brain is saying, nope, this is too much. I can't take it anymore. And when I first started getting them, they were very similar looking to seizures. Now, they tend to be, I guess, I don't want to say violent because I'm not violent, but I do a lot of screaming, pulling of the hair, scratching. It it feels like my brain is going to explode. It feels like something in my head is going to freaking explode. And my heart, I don't know, my chest, I don't know if it's my heart or just like that feeling you get, but my chest is just my whole body. I feel like everything inside is trying to just burst out of me all at once. And I'm not sure if you can tell on my face, but I know that there are blood vessels that were broken during my attempt to hold back the screams. Because, that's not something you want people to hear you doing at work, especially as a boss. But so I went home after that. And that was pretty much the summary of my day. There was lots of little things. We were busy. At one point in time, I was trying to take orders for lane 2, bag everything, keep hash browns down while a girl was training in drive-through, and we were busy. And I could go on and on about the chaos, but really there's no point. So, all right, well, thank you for watching my first video, and I hope in time that I can get better at attempting to keep some sense of focus on the camera and have some structure. And I guess just get better at doing videos and sharing what it's like to be me. Bye.